Welcome to my full look at Pokémon Legends Z-A Mega Dimension. And this expansion was certainly a unique challenge, which means addressing it will be as well. So, let's open it up and get started. Much of what I said about the gameplay presentation in the base game also applies here. So, let's go over what's new. On top of the mechanics I discussed previously, the Rogue Mega Evolution concept is expanded in a way that ties in the story portion. Even with the competitive scene focusing on Pokemon champions going forward, the utter chaos of online matches is delightful. Though I may not feel as strongly about the placement of non-player characters as others, I do find lots of the dialogue amusing. We'll touch on this again, but I love the way it's equal parts unhinged and relatable. While I'm on that subject, I also really enjoy Karina's new outfit. Some purists might disagree, but I just love the whole 90s extreme sports, color pattern, and bandoliers and megastones, like she rolled out a Capri Sun commercial. Same with the cosmetics that came as part of bonus, matching the shades of red and blue that the Pokemon X and Y covers had, as if our trainer avatars were from the grid in the Tron films.
Ow.
On to the story portion of the expansion. In order to even start the story, you will need to have cleared the main story of the base game. Thankfully, not only have I done that, I have logged 150 hours before I opted in. As before, I'll do my best to put the events in a rough chronological order as I experienced them. The story centers on an enigmatic young woman named Onsha and her Hoopa. It turns out she's a daughter of Kalos champion Diantha, which will be key to the story. The aforementioned Karina joins the wrangling a whole new slew of rogue evolutions. I will do my best to focus on ones I didn't cover in the base game. In order to do that, you must conduct research by entering the parallel universe known as Hyperspace Lumios. This is where you face off against over 100 returning Pokemon, which can far exceed the power level and challenge what's featured in the main overworld. Well, I thought that was a pretty good idea.
Mm-hmm.
You do this by gathering in resources to complete submissions in Hyperspace Lumios. Think of them as like the bonus cards in the Zero Royale, as my coverage of that game is helping a lot to finish review. The key resources are data for our allies and ingredients to make donuts for Hoopa. I've always liked it when the games have had some more crafting in them, be it the recent smash hit Pokopia, all the way back to making apricorn Pokeballs in Johto. There are 14 major hyperspace missions after all the research conditions are met. And I enjoy how it builds upon the idea of researching behaviors in Legend Arceus. That would be best to go through them all in story order. Apart from a major spike in difficulty, much of what I said about the mechanics in the base game also applies here. First up is the Hyperspace Disaster Arena where we face off against Mega Absol Z. I just gotta say, I love the design deliberately invoking one weird angel in the clearest way possible. There's a trade-off to the Z Mega Evolutions. It burns through energy faster than typical Mega Evolution. Once you have the stone, it must be used wisely. Second in line is facing Staraptor in the Hyperspace Hunting Grounds, Mega Staraptor to be precise. Though not as elaborate as a staging ground for each boss in Legend Arceus, it does make sense as each arena is based on the memories of those fighting inside of it. Bottom line, win the battle, and Mega Staraptor is ours. The third opponent is Mega Tatsugiri, who is fittingly fought in the Hyperspace Sushi Paradise. Especially like the shift in size for our trainers and the idea of using the row as projectiles. That said, this offers multiple spikes in difficulty as we work our way up the ladder of bosses. Needless to say, this makes the victory and catch that much more satisfying. Fourth in line is Mega Meowstic, who is another Generation 6 Pokemon I'm glad to see get a Mega Evolution. The design reminds me of Lokai and Bele from Star Trek as a psychic feline. Our fifth opponent is Megahetran in the Hyperspace Infernal Arena. As one of multiple legendary Pokemon we face in this expansion, which we'll come back to, It's a fitting challenge to dodge all the explosions and magma inside of the arena before we face our final opponent. Now, let's address the post game of the base game and this DLC. Starting with the former, the few aspects I'd like to address I didn't get a chance to in the previous look at the game. In particular, I'm pleased to see the return of Emma. Her new job is the lead of the Looker Bureau, and she's matured a lot since X and Y, especially how the expansion suit impacts her figure. Anyway, there's a whole slew of missions where you help her solve mysteries around the city. I also enjoy finding out more secrets in the city, including the last colorful screw to get the giant canary plush. It may not grant any boosts like the other plushes did, but it's good for bragging rights. Mm. On top of a large amount of mysteries befalling citizens of Lumios, one recurring thread is the lineage of our partner Tawny, or Bane if you chose the female coded avatar, shooting for her grandmother. As it turns out, this is none other than Quasartigo President Jet. Moonbus revelation, their reunited grandmother and grandchild embrace in each other's arms. The post-game of the expansion is centered around trying to help Ansha Banwei was fittingly waiting at the top of the hyperspace sky pillar. In order to reach the hyperspace sky pillar, he naturally must defeat and catch the other Hawaiian box legendary Pokemon, Groudon in the hyperspace desolate land, and Kyogre in the hyperspace primordial sea. They are as challenging to battle and catch as ever, and yes, they can still do primary version. I especially enjoy how Mega Evolution was granted it for two of the best legendary Pokemon of the past games. Mega Darkrai ends the main story of this expansion, and Mega Zeraora is a tough challenge for a fun Thundercat. Honestly, not joking when I say it took me almost an hour to win and catch Zeraora as I was finishing this review. Logged well over 200 hours into the base game and the expansion as of this recording. Fittingly, the post-game story concludes with the capture of Rayquaza and the fulfillment of Ansha's dream. In both cases, the credits roll over a series of drawings she made of the adventures we've had. Honestly, it's a cute way to help start wrapping things up. As I previously stated in my review of the base game, the future of this franchise and the gaming landscape can be intimidating, but it can also be exciting. While there are times it seems as though one might see it as dull repetition, I prefer to take a more idealistic perspective. Anyone can take advantage of another's cynicism for short-term gain. It takes real authenticity to highlight what you honestly enjoy about a game. I have seen my fair share of takes in this fanbase that age poorly, along with works that initially had modest reception, and upon their first release become some of the most beloved in the entire series. Honestly, I can see the same happening in this expansion as time goes on. I may not have been enthralled as I was with the expansions for Galar, or be they the Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra, and Paldea, those being the Teal Mask and Indigo Disc, but I still enjoyed it, and I have no regrets over opting into it. Though not on the same order of magnitude as previous expansions for Generations 8 and 9, which is such a similar purpose to the third version, such as Yellow, Crystal, and Platinum in years past. I personally found Pokémon Legends Z-A Mega Dimension to be stuffed with challenge and fun, much like the donuts we help bake. There will be one last video on the game in October on the 1-year mark of its release on October 16th. The elements I have not addressed previously will be there, including the Switch 2 upgrade for the game. That will be all for now. Take care and seek out our Pokemon. Much of what I said about the story, about the gameplay, oh boy,